Good evening, and thank you for joining us on CoreTV News at 7. I am Ebunlomo Adekunle. The acting governor of Adamawa State, Umaru Fintiri, has won the governorship primary of the People's Democratic Party, enabling him to contest on the ticket of the party for the Adamawa governorship election on October 11. Fintiri defeated his rivals by securing 624 votes, while his closest rival, former Executive Secretary of Universal Basic Education, Ahmed Modibo, scored 197. Former military administrator of Lagos State, Buba Marwa, came a distant third with 54 votes. The primary, which stretched into the early hours of Sunday morning, was adjudged free and fair. The candidate of the All Progressives Congress is expected to emerge on Sunday, 7th September. The Independent National Electoral Commission has declared Shem Nuhu Sagbayi of the People's Democratic Party winner of Niger East Senatorial by-election. The returning officer for the election, Wole Mureni Keji, who announced the results, says Sagbayi polled 92,056 votes against David Umaru of the All Progressives Congress, who polled 87,405 votes, while Isabelu of All Progressives Grand Alliance and Abdullahi Diko of Social Democratic Party scored 2,185 and 4,419 votes, respectively. Morani Keji said total number of registered voters is 149,851 and total number of accredited voters who participated in the election stands at 205,000 votes, 205,765. He said total number of valid votes is 182,137. Number of rejected votes 8,042. And total number of votes cast during the exercise is 190,179. The Secretary to Government of Adamawa State, Liman Tukur, says insurgents have taken over Gulag Town, the headquarters of Madagali local government area of the state. This is contained in a statement issued by Tukur and made available to journalists in Yola on Saturday. The statement says the insurgents had killed and displaced many people in the town during the attacks. According to the statement, the state government deeply sympathized with the people of Gulag and other surrounding villages and towns whose areas had been overrun by insurgents. It added that the state government would do as much as possible to assist the displaced persons. Meanwhile, the Emergency Management Agency has been directed to hasten assistance to the displaced persons. Nigerian troops have stormed the suspected Boko Haram hideout in Borno State, killing over 50 members. The military said in a statement the raid followed a tip-off that the insurgents were massing to attack Konduga. An officer and two soldiers were seriously wounded during the operation that saw troops seize a fabricated artillery gun, two anti-aircraft guns, an armored vehicle, and assorted types of ammunition. There is, however, no independent confirmation of the military's claim. The police training school in Gwoza, Borno State, is still under the occupation of the Boko Haram sect. Weeks after it was attacked and overrun by insurgents, CoreTV News learned that about 27 riot policemen were yet to be found out of the 100 personnel that were receiving training at the school when the insurgents struck on August 20. However, there is anxiety in the force over the safety of the missing policemen, some of whom are suspected to have been injured or killed by the rampaging sect members. There are fears in the police quarters that some of the affected personnel might not make it back to their squadron in view of the spread of the activities of the insurgents in Gwoza. The police high command, however, says an operation to liberate the facilities underway, adding that a census of the policemen would be taken after the operation. The immediate past chief of army staff, Azubike Yejurika, who was recently accused by an Australian negotiator, Stephen Davis, of being one of the sponsors of Boko Haram, has warned Nigerians not to be deceived by what he described as frivolous and baseless accusations. Yejurika spoke during the meeting of the Alumni Association of Members of Regular Course 18 of the Nigerian Defense Academy at the National Defense College, Abuja. The former army chief says the claims by the Australian that the insurgents mentioned him and a former governor of Borno State, Ali Modu Sharif, among the chief sponsors of Boko Haram terrorists was unfounded. According to Yejurika, baseless, frivolous and unfounded allegations like these have the capacity of diverting the nation's attention away from the main problem. He noted that if the allegations against his person were to have taken place in the developed countries like the United States and the United Kingdom, the issue would have been given not more than an hour's attention for it to be dismissed. He warned Nigeria and allies that the terrorists are currently exploiting the country's ethno-religious, socio-political and multicultural faultiness to advance their cause, which they have not been able to achieve through violence. However, explains that he was not angered by the attention given to the allegation because of his belief that the country is yet to come to terms with the motives of the terrorists and their desire to bring the country down. The claims of former governor of Borno State, Ali Modu Sharif, that he has no link with the deadly Boko Haram sect has come under heavy fire as a senior advocate of Nigeria, Femi Falana, says he is still not truthful. Sharif's denial of links with Boko Haram is coming on the heels of a damning allegation by an Australian negotiator, Stephen Davis, hired by the federal government to negotiate the freedom of the abducted girls kidnapped from a school in Chibok, Borno State, in April. Davis revealed that Ali Modu Sharif and former Chief of Army Staff Azubike Yejurika was principal sponsors of Boko Haram. Although Sharif has addressed several press conferences to deny the allegation and has threatened a legal action on the issue, Falana believes he still has more to unveil on his involvement with a terror group.
And attempted to insult the collective intelligence and memory of Nigerians by denying any links with the dangerous, dreaded Boko Haram sect. And I'm expecting him to sue me, because he said he wanted to sue an Australian. You don't need to go to Australia. What you are looking for in Sokoto is in the pocket of your Sokoto. I'm ready to join issues with him, because not only did he sponsor that organization by providing funds for them, in 2003, he had a deal with the Boko Haram sect to get him to win the election. And that if he won his re-election, he will compensate the organization. When he won that election, he appointed Alhaji Bugu Foy as the Commissioner for Religious Affairs to implement Sharia in that state. When the man attended the first Executive Council meeting, he discovered that they were all talking about contracts and how to steal money. So he went back to the camp, the Boko Haram camp, and said, where you send me to is Gida Barawi, the house of thieves. I can no longer be part of them. So he was asked to resign, and that was how Foy resigned from the government of Modu Sharif. So to say that you don't know them is the greatest lie.
It's the CoreTV News at 7. We'll take a break and we'll be back with more reports. Please stay with us.
There is an Ebola virus epidemic in some West African countries. The Nigerian government wants you to be aware and watch out against the spread of Ebola in your community. Help keep our country safe and watch out for severe cases of fever, headaches, diarrhea, chest and abdominal pain, sore throat, cough, red eyes, and bleeding from the eyes, ears, and nose, especially when these symptoms are found in persons coming into Nigeria from other West African countries. Protect yourself. Wash your hands regularly with soap and running water, or use a hand sanitizer. Avoid contact with the blood, urine, feces, or saliva of animals like bats, monkeys, gorillas, chimpanzees, or infected persons. The Ebola virus is deadly. Don't catch it. Don't spread it. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information.
Thank you so much for being there. The recent suspension of two INEC officials who participated in the conduct of the just concluded governorship election in Osun State has pitched members of the ruling All Progressives Congress against the opposition PDP. The two parties are bickering over who stands to benefit at the ongoing election tribunal from the development. Rashid took up the issue with the spokespersons of the two parties and filed in this report.
The August night governorship election in Osun State has come and gone. A winner has emerged. However, the controversies trailing the outcome of the election lingers on. It is no longer news that the PDP is currently at the Election Petition Tribunal challenging the outcome of the governorship poll. With inspection of election materials and investigations ongoing, the main gladiator in the battle, APC and the PDP, are now pointing accuser finger at each other, claiming that the two INEC officials who were suspended recently are those hired to work for them. APC says the suspended officials worked for PDP during the election, a statement the PDP described as laughable.
He was caught by vigilant youths and was dragged to state CID. And there and then was released to a kingpin, to a chieftain of the PDP. So how could he have worked or been working or attempting to work for APC?
There's no amount of antics that can distort the unwholesome experience that Osun people were confronted with talking about the August 9 gubernatorial election. For the APC now to come back and accuse PDP that did not benefit from their irregularities is laughable.
The blame game continues as the APC says INEC's decision to suspend its officials and its reasons for doing so is not the business of the PDP. But the PDP insists there is more to the suspension and the reasons given for it.
The INEC came out to say that their employees, those they have in their employment, say this, did this, and then this is why we are taking action. And you still went ahead to be querying that action. That why should they be telling you that they misbehaved? That's why you send them on. So they were trying to defend the boys.
It was a national office of that of the election management body that sanctioned those officers. Therefore, for the Osun State office of INEC to come round and begin to concoct cock and bull story is laughable.
As the bickering continues, both parties were of the opinion that these jobs should be saved for the courtroom when the tribunal commences sitting.
We have no apology that we won. We won creditably well, we won convincingly, and we won because the world saw what we have done and they gave approval of what we have done.
We don't have any problem because we have enough unassailable evidence and records to show that there was a great deal of malfeasance as far as the August gubernatorial election was concerned.
As the political battle rages on, more interesting fireworks are expected from these gladiators, especially when the Osun Election Petition Tribunal begins its sitting. Rashid, CoreTV News, Osogbo.
The Nigerian authorities want professionals in the construction industry to maintain international best practices in order to stem the tide of building collapse in the country. This was the thrust of a message delivered at a national stakeholders forum on the industry in Abuja. The forum was at the instance of the Standard Organization of Nigeria. The report.
Building collapse has been a recurring phenomenon in the country, and in a bid to check the trend, the government is seeking compliance with standards, especially of block and allied products.
The right application of specifications and the standards will ensure optimal use of resources, right quality and durability of your sanitary blocks, thus aligning with the federal government's aspiration for safe and affordable housing for the nation. I wish to therefore employ all professionals in the building and construction sector, including artisans and sanitary block molders, to ensure the use of only certified materials.
What we're doing today is a life-saving activity to ensure that we all learn to do the right things and to ensure that we continue to do them after today.
Nigerian government officials also want consumers to insist on getting value for their money.
I wish to also call on all Nigerians to endeavor to demand for quality as a right. You may be aware that also that the Consumer Protection Council also reports to my ministry. The job of CPC is to protect the ultimate consumer. So whilst we are interested, you also report to the ministry in terms of producing the concrete, the blocks. It's also important that you meet the required standards, because it's important that the consumers get good value for money.
This end, the authorities are insisting that stipulated grades of cement and blocks in particular must be used by builders and contractors for buildings to stand the test of time.
And now on Ebola, the World Health Organization has announced that deaths from the Ebola virus disease has climbed above 2,000, while assuring that treatment vaccines would be available by November. The deadly virus has claimed 2,097 lives out of 3,944 people infected in Liberia, Guinea and Sierra Leone since emerging last December. The UN's health organs revealed after a two-day crisis meeting in Geneva. Nigeria has recorded another 8 deaths out of 22 cases recorded in the country. At least more than 30 people have died in a separate outbreak in the Democratic Republic of Congo. According to WHO, results from safety trials for 2 prototype vaccines should be known in December. If proven safe, a vaccine could be available in November 2014 for priority use in healthcare workers. U.S. Secretary General Ban Ki-moon sets the goal of stopping the worst ever outbreak of the disease within 6 to 9 months. The next few weeks will be crucial, Ban says in New York, adding this was an international rescue call. The meeting in Geneva gathered more than 150 experts in drug research, epidemiology, ethics, regulation and financing.
All efforts must be invested into helping affected countries use them safely. 2 promising vaccine candidates were identified. One is called chimpanzee adenovirus Ebola and the other one VSV Ebola. Safety studies are currently underway in the United States of America and soon to start in Europe and Africa. Yes, it's absolutely unprecedented. There is no doubt. It's unprecedented in the willingness that everybody has to move as quickly as possible. And this includes the regulators. As we know, the regulators have a very important role in ensuring that what is used in the human population is same, is effective. So they are really helping us in order to facilitate processes that, while trying to preserve as much as possible safety, this is very important, safety should be preserved, that at the same time development goes very quickly.
It's the CoreTV News at 7. We'll take another break and we'll be back with stories outside Nigeria. Don't go away.
This is Judiciary Today.
The judiciary's function is to interpret the law.
The judge in Lagos State is perhaps one of the most comfortable judges in the world.
You can't say because we are fighting terrorists or fighting terror, then you go about violating people's rights. We're not going to allow that in this country.
I think that's one of the reasons why
so that's what lawyers do.
I didn't say that what lawyers do.
The TV show that brings you in-depth review and analysis of judiciary issues that affect you.
I want police officers to welcome victims with empathy and not say, what were you wearing? Where did you go? What were you doing at 10 p.m. at night?
As the Nigerian judiciary mourns one of their own.
He has gone to court on behalf of Nigerian citizens even without taking a cover.
It is time for lawyers to take their health very seriously, lawyers and judges.
Only on CoreTV.
In India, soldiers are battling to rescue thousands of people trapped in India's Kashmir's worst flooding for half a century, which has left more than 100 people dead and the main city of Srinagar underwater. 350 villages have also been submerged since torrential monsoon rains triggered floodings across the picturesque Himalayan region of Jammu and Kashmir. Across the border in Pakistan, landslides, flash flooding and houses collapsed from days of heavy rain, leaving about 128 people dead. The Jhelum River, swollen by heavy rain, flooded large parts of Srinagar and forced frantic residents onto rooftops. Hundreds of troops, police and other emergency personnel backed by helicopters and boats have been deployed across the state to reach those stranded. With 11,000 people rescued so far, officials say. Prime Minister Narendra Modi flew to the remote region to meet Abdullah and emergency response officials amid concerns the death toll could rise. Gunfire and heavy shellings rocked a key frontline city in eastern Ukraine overnight, raising fears that a truce between government and rebel forces had already collapsed. Numerous explosions rattled the night sky and thick smoke was visible on the horizon of Mariupol, a strategic government-held port city on the Azov River in the southeast of the country. Residents spoke of their panic as the fighting erupted with gunfire and shelling that damaged buildings and vehicles. The renewed violence started just hours after a phone call between Ukraine's President Petro Poroshenko and his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin, who agreed that a ceasefire signed on Friday was generally being observed. The 12-point pact was the first to gain the backing of both Kiev and Moscow after 5 months of fighting that has claimed around 2,800 lives and triggered the deepest crisis in East-West relations for a generation. The first fresh violence threatened a repeat of the unilateral ceasefire called by Kiev in June, which collapsed within days. And that's it on CoreTV News at 7. Join me again at 9:45 for the primetime news. Thank you for watching. I am Ebunlomo Adekunle.